What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Thanks as well for listening on ESPN Kansas City. That is the face of Dan Courtwright. I am Sean Kellerman. Thanks for joining us here on this Thursday. It's Thursday, which means a little bit later in the show, we're going to be joined by Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, to talk all things Jayhawk football and a word on basketball as well. That's going to be here before we know it. We leaked the details yesterday. Leaked. We received word of the details of Late Night in the Fog, which is coming up October 17th, and we'll refresh you on that, but also get Haney's thoughts on the upcoming season, where KU, according to an article that we talked about yesterday, is going to be clocking in right around 21
That
in
works for
the
me.
rankings. Whatever. Haters gonna hate.
Count us out.
Hey,
I dare you.
count us out because preseason number one hasn't worked out in our favor the last couple seasons. But here in the opening segment, we're talking a little Jayhawk football. We'll do a deep dive on the rest of the opponents for Kansas. We'll fit in what we can. Not going to break down the too deep for all of these teams, but we'll catch up to date on what each of the remaining opponents has done so far this season for Jayhawk football. Plus, Dan has an article that he wants to touch on as well that came out today from Adam Rittenberg.
Yes, Adam Rittenberg, just talking about the early kind of hot seat coaching carousel, and some interesting names popped up on there, including someone who lives here in Lawrence, Kansas. Now, again, this is just some guy with a laptop who writes stuff for a living. No need to look too far into it, and so we're going to kind of squash anything that we might think is a little bit of a reach, I guess, is one way to say it.
Do you know who else sits with a laptop and writes stuff for a living?
You.
Henry Greenstein,
Henry.
KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal World. He joined us yesterday. If you missed the show yesterday, check us out on YouTube. We have a special member of our team who uploads the shows to YouTube after every live show from 4 to 6 here, KansasNation.com. So big shout out as well to Easton John and everything that he does behind the scenes here for Rock Chalk Sports. Haney will come on right around 4:40, and then in the 5 o'clock hour, a fantasy draft again.
Yes.
I believe we actually tied last week with our fantasy draft of other things that we hate.
We
right?
did, yeah. I think we only got 6 votes, and 3 of them were for me, 3 of them were for you.
6 votes is pretty low, so we gotta.
Yeah, so I will put it out on Twitter.
Have
so
your friends follow us at the Kansas Nation. Yes, we're
Correct.
new, but follow us.
Yeah, exactly. But have we agreed on what it's going to be? It's going to be Big 12 mascots to play football. So we're going to do quarterback, wide receiver. We'll pick 6, right? So we'll go quarterback, wide receiver, running back, offensive line, and then we'll go defensive player, head coach.
Let's do it.
Okay, that works for me.
One defensive player, kind of like a Micah Parsons or Fred Warner type, from the mascot side of things.
Yeah, exactly. Now, are we going? Now, this is an important question. Are we going the caricature of the mascot, or are we going the actual person in the mascot costume? That's a big question.
I don't.
Well,
I know who's going undrafted, and it's the Mountaineer. I'll tell you that.
100%.
But
right? Yeah.
I do think that the actual mascot.
Okay. The actual,
because that'll make certain mascots be more more interesting. And
yeah, it's like okay, so you can't go like Big J and Baby J. Like it's like just the Jayhawk.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that actually changes a lot about my draft.
Well, classic clarification. We should have had probably a little bit earlier, but that'll come up at 5 o'clock with our fantasy draft. And then the Chiefs, they are in dead last in the AFC West for the first time in about 4 years, and they've got a big game coming up. The last time the Eagles came to Arrowhead, they clipped us, if you'll remember, a few years ago. And the last time we faced them, they beat us as well. It was not 40-6; it was 40-22.
I can't recall.
We want to remember that.
I can't recall.
And then we had some months of despair without football after that. But Dan's got some deep dive type stuff on the Eagles, and we'll see what they bring to the table. Only one catch from A.J. Brown. We know they have a lot of weapons, and it's not going to be fun, honestly.
No.
Last I checked, we're 1.5 favorites. Of course, they're bringing in the pride of Penn State, Saquon Barkley, as well. And the tush push, well, it's still around. I still think eventually that's going to be gone. But it's still around.
Are you for or against it being gone?
I'm for it being gone.
I'm against it being gone. I think it's great.
You asked that in a weird way. You should be for or against it. Are you for or against it?
What did I say?
You said for or against being gone. That confused me.
I'm
for it being gone. I am against it.
So you are against the tush push in general.
Yes.
That's soft of you. That is the softest thing about you.
Apparently, Barkley went on one of the Tonight shows and said that he's the one actually pushing the tush. I haven't studied it that much. I do know, though, that third and 1 or whatever, like you don't even need to like go to the bathroom. You don't even need to see the
Yeah.
next play because they're going to get it every time, even without Jason Kelsey. But then we're going to close out the show talking Thursday night football. Dan, it has been a long,
Mm.
long 2 days without football. We have not watched a football game since Monday night.
Yeah, I
Bears, Vikings, and I cannot believe it's here.
I cannot believe it's.
We're
He always
back.
makes fun of me throughout the entire offseason. I was like, man, I just can't believe. I can't wait. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's here when we got the. Can you blame me? Right? It's been a long time. The last football game that we watched was in February when the Chiefs got their butts kicked. So excuse me for wanting to.
It is a bummer that the two Super Bowl losses the Chiefs have taken were really, really embarrassing ones.
Oh,
The
100%.
three wins have been awesome, and they've
Yeah.
all been close.
Come
So
from
what we beat?
behind and
So
yeah.
we beat the Niners by 3. We beat the Eagles by 3, and then the first Super Bowl, did we beat them by 3 as well? The
Uh,
Niners,
maybe I know we
2020.
were down 10
Easton,
before
you
the
remember
half, right?
2020 in Miami? That was the one in Miami, I think, right before the novel coronavirus hit and wiped away the NCAA tournament for sports fans. But anyway, we'll talk Chiefs Eagles and some Thursday night picks a little bit later in the
31-20.
5 o'clock
Chiefs won by
hour.
11.
31-20, and they were down 20-10 or something, right?
Yeah, they were down by 10.
It was
a- and
31-20 because Damian Williams had that breakaway
That's right.
touchdown to create some separation. But yeah, every winning game for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl has been, nail biting, heart wrenching, and then the two thuds have been unbelievable thuds.
Embarrassing.
But anyway, all right, let's get into it here in the opening segment. I've got a few notes just on KU's conference opponents this season. We talked a lot broadly about KU having, in our eyes, a fortuitous schedule on paper. We said that last year. It didn't work out. So we'll see, but we like at least the home slate for KU. And I'll let you know what those teams have done the first couple weeks college football. But first, Dan, this article from Adam Rittenberg.
Yeah, so Adam Rittenberg just basically kind of rolling through just the college football landscape, kind of who's on the hot seat as of right now after a couple of weeks, just where he thinks guys could potentially go. It's one of those way too early to tell kind of articles, just, basically filler, I guess. And Adam Rittenberg, I actually like a lot of the stuff that he does, but he jumps the gun, at least with this for sure. Talking about some potential head coaching fires and also some carousel type of deals. He brought up Wisconsin, right? In Wisconsin, as of right now, they're not too terribly happy with Luke Fickell. They want to be near the top of the Big Ten every year, and they just can't seem to get there. Even though they're in the Big Ten West, it's still really tough for Wisconsin. They're always kind of middling, right? So he's talking about Luke Fickell and about how he turned him around a little bit, but still it's not exactly where he wants him to be. And he gave off a list of coaches who he thinks would be good for the job, and also some other people have stated that they would be definitely interested in this, and one of them is Lance Leipold, right? And I'll kind of read through this. It said he brought up Lance Leipold as a fascinating candidate to examine. The 61-year-old could finish his career at Kansas, which opened its renovated stadium last month, and is supporting the program unlike ever before. He also could make one big move. If he does, I see him ending up back in the Big Ten, especially with a job like Wisconsin. Leipold is from the state, spent 3 years as a Wisconsin grad assistant early in Barry Alvarez's run there, and obviously won 6 national championships with Wisconsin Whitewater too. So he has spent a lot of time in Wisconsin. That's where he really got his start in coaching. I understand he was, from Nebraska as well, and he kind of grew up a Nebraska fan, but he went to Wisconsin Whitewater as a player, played quarterback there, and then just stuck around with Barry Alvarez for a little bit, and then went back to Wisconsin Whitewater, won a ton of national championships. So I understand the way of thinking, right? But to me, it almost kind of feels like the whole Bill Self hole up in a country club trying to figure out if he wants the Oklahoma State job or not, right? It just, to me, it's like, all right, yeah, I understand. And granted, that was like obviously a BS article, like it didn't that had no real legs to it. The Bill Self one, I understand the way of thinking though, right? Bill Self, he's from Oklahoma, went to Oklahoma State, it's his alma mater. I would understand if he would want to go there, but it would be less than lateral move. It would literally be a backwards move for him. And as of right now, I understand it's the Big Ten. When you think about the grand scheme of college athletics and how the conferences are aligned with the SEC and the Big Ten really are the big two right now, then you got ACC and Big 12 just kind of floating there underneath them. I get it, right? It makes sense. But at the same time, the situation that Coach Leipold is in right now is a much better situation, I think, than if he were to go to Wisconsin. I mean, he essentially has done the greatest turnaround in the 21st century, right? I'm not going to say in college football history, and I will give credit where credit's due. I do think that there was probably Bill Snyder because they were talking about getting rid of football back in the 80s. They were just that bad and dropping down to NAIA, getting rid of it entirely. Bill Snyder came in and made K-State a respectable-ish program, at least to an outsider. I don't respect him, but you can respect what he did there. So Lance has really done the unthinkable, right? I mean, they try to bring in a ton of people. They try to bring in the quarterback whisperer with Johnny Manziel, David Beatty. That didn't work out. They tried to bring in Charlie Weiss, national championship winning coach. That clearly didn't work out. They tried to bring in another national championship winning coach in Les Miles. That clearly did not work out. So they thought, okay, let's go to grassroots guys. Let's go to guys who built themselves from the ground up, essentially. And that was Lance. Lance did it at the Division III level, took Wisconsin Whitewater to prominence, winning 6 national championships, went to Buffalo, turned them around completely, and now he's at Kansas, and they've built him a freaking stadium pretty much, right? Now, I know it's not obviously for Lance, but he's a big part of it. If Lance Leipold were to never come to Kansas, does the newly renovated David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium even exist, right? I don't know if it does, at least in the year 2025. Maybe it gets renovated later. But Lance Leipold is arguably the biggest part of the reason that that stadium has been built. So going to Wisconsin and continuing to, I guess, just fight for your job every single day and have the boosters breathing down your neck when at Kansas you have a little bit more leeway because the expectations were never that high, right? You look at the year from 2010 to 2020, that decade was just probably the worst decade in college football. So the boosters and the people in charge, they give Lance a lot more leeway. They go, you know what? We're going to let you do your thing because you have taken us from 0 wins to at least taken us to 2 straight bowl games, right? And a 5-7 record last year. Now that wasn't the record that we wanted last year, but it's still an improvement, and it takes a while for rebuilds to happen. That's something that we talked about a lot last year too. It takes a while for rebuilds to happen like this. You don't expect it to happen in 2 years, and you don't expect to be at national prominence level in 2 or 3 years, right? This is going to take a while. And Lance is also getting older. He's 61 years old. Is he going to want to uproot his life once again and start anew? Or is he going to want to finish out his coaching career at the University of Kansas, essentially an untouchable guy who's ending on top because of where he started?
Lance Leipold becoming a KU legend. There's no doubt about that. There's all the tangible things that Dan mentioned, the back-to-back bowl games, the 9-win season, all that. And then you look in the future, absolutely cleaning up the high school recruiting ranks in the state
Yeah,
of Kansas. KU hasn't done that in forever, essentially. And Coach Leipold, man, he has put his roots down with his family here and turned this program into a winner. Yes, last year 5-7 situation. We understand there was a lot of heartbreak, but this team now has expectations to win and to win at a high level. So yeah, I'm excited for the future of Kansas football under Coach Leipold. And with Travis Goff and Coach Leipold here, I think there's no question that the booth wouldn't be where it is right now. Those two, and certainly the unbelievable generosity of David Booth. But all of that has to be aligned with the winning of the program. And Coach Leipold is at the top of the heap on that front. And one word on the Bill Self thing too, just because you brought up that, and then we had a little press conference with Coach Self last season. It came out right before the Oklahoma State game.
that's right.
I just hope he's been here nearly 25 years, has Coach Self. I hope that when he decides it's time to hang him up, he and Jayhawk Nation as a whole aren't looking back at his time here at Kansas and saying, "Man, I wish I wouldn't have worried all these years about him going here or him going to
Right.
the NBA," because it doesn't matter like what year it's been since Coach Self took over. There's all this speculation, or people always try to. It's people protecting themselves. They're worried. They don't want to lose the Hall of Famer, and it's just silly to me because he's proven. He's said time and time again that he's here. He's still here. All he's done is win at a level that no other coach essentially has done. And yeah, it's a shame if people continue to bring that up. It's like, man, why don't you spend more time enjoying what you have and
Right.
Coach Self on that front rather than being worried?
Yeah, I
But
mean, it feels like every single year there's some loser locked up in his parents' basement going, I'm hearing Bill Self's going to the Spurs. It's like, okay, yeah, we've been hearing that for literally 25 years. Like, I
I
get it. Him and
yeah,
RC Buford are buds, but like, that there's no
15 years
real legs
15
to it.
years ago,
He's
the same
still
thing.
here.
People, it's silly, and again, that's just the world that we live in, I guess, with the internet. But no, we are really incredibly
Well,
grateful to have those two
it
guys.
speak. I have one more thing about that because it speaks to the just how these writers view the University of Kansas and Big 12 programs, right? They view Kansas because of recency bias. I understand it because not, I guess recency bias might not even be the right word because of what they saw from Kansas over the last 10 years, 15 years. What you see there is a bad football team. So in theory, the way they look at Kansas is, oh, that's a stepping stone, right? Lance has used every other place as a stepping stone. He used Wisconsin Whitewater as a stepping stone to get to Buffalo, used Buffalo to go to Kansas. And then what's the next move? Well, you go to a Big Ten or an SEC school, and then that's the pinnacle of college football. And then you go to the NFL, right? So they were looking at KU basically as a stepping stone where, as of right now, Kansas to me feels like a good place to settle down.
What's more fun when you're playing college football? 25. Is it more fun to go from here to here to here to here and then end up at somewhere like Alabama?
Right.
Or is it more fun to build up your program
Yeah.
and to turn the program that you are at and Power Four into a national
No,
champion
absolutely. Yeah.
contender? I mean,
You make
right.
UTSA a national powerhouse.
Right, and that's the you're right. I said Power Four doesn't even have to be Power Four, but it's more fun, right? And there are people like Coach Leipold who are doing this in real life. They are living in it.
Absolutely.
And that's maybe a stupid reference or anything, but I'm
No, it's a
saying
perfect
there are
reference.
people who appreciate that. Look what Coach Leipold has done, and we talk about the stadium, obviously front and center. We talk about all the great players he's brought in through the portal. We talk about the boosters. We talk about the Kansas high school kids in the class of 2026 and everything that he's done. But he's also, again, put this program in the limelight. The Mizzou Kansas game on Saturday was the most viewed game on ESPN2 in 3 years.
Insane.
So you had the rivalry aspect there, but you also have two programs who are legitimate and people know provide entertainment. Kansas didn't used to be that for 10 to 12 years. And Coach Leipold has brought us here. And not to mention, he has an unbelievably sick collection of KU stuff.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, the
Oh my
partnership with
god.
Adidas, are you kidding me? Those hoodies, every time they're killer.
Every time he has a press conference, there's like 3 or 4 people who are like, "We're gonna get that hoodie."
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Anyway, we'll transition away from that. Before we kick it to our first break, I do want to do a brief look, kind of overarching view at Kansas 9 conference opponents because we've talked again broadly about liking Kansas conference schedule.
Yes.
We're very confident about it. But let's just go in order real quick. West Virginia's 1-1. They crushed Robert Morris, and then they lost at Ohio. They were small favorites in that one and lost outright 17-10. They lost Jaheim White. We're gonna have all sorts of coverage on the Mountaineers, of course, before that game a week from Saturday. But losing Jaheim White, this is a broken team, and you mentioned it, I know, briefly yesterday, but this is a good time to get them because they have question marks at quarterback. They're not 100% healthy, and KU has a great chance at home to open with a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the booth. I think we took for granted how big of a home field advantage it really is, right? And even with the old David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium, there still was a home field advantage there. I mean, you look at the Oklahoma game, you look at a lot of those games. I mean, the crowd has been electric, and for the last 2 games that were at home with Fresno State and Wagner game, it's been absolutely electric. And with a new coach, with their star running back out, with questions at quarterback, everything is sort of a perfect storm for West Virginia to come in here and just get the brakes beat off them by KU. And I think that Kansas coming off of that loss against Missouri, going into a bye week, heading into conference play, West Virginia is going to be coming off of the backyard brawl, which is going to be a mentally taxing game for them in terms of the rivalry, in terms of, just getting beat up by those guys. It's going to be tough for West Virginia to come in and really do anything. Now, granted, I understand they still are West Virginia. They're still a Power Four squad. Rich Rod is still a good coach, but to me, it's just they do, like you said, they're a broken team.
Well, we obviously have to get him back. Last year, that was one of the handful of heartbreaking losses that KU had. Remember Garrett Green running wild a couple different
Oh,
times. Current Buccaneer legend Garrett
yeah,
Green.
that also because KU has a chip on their shoulder because of the way that they
Yeah,
lost that game last year.
yeah, yeah.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Instant classics though, that one. And then you think back to the previous time Kansas was in Morgantown, the pick six from Kobe. You don't see a lot of college football games that go to overtime and see a game end up being a 13-point differential, and that's what it was because the pick six from Kobe Bryant. He did not take a knee. He went ahead and took that to the house.
Good for him.
And KU got that huge road win at WVU. After that, Cincinnati, they're 1-1. They lost at Arrowhead to Nebraska by 3, and then they beat Bowling Green by a couple touchdowns last week. Brendan Sorsby, their quarterback, has 3 rushing and 3 passing touchdowns. KU then heads back out to the road as they head to Disney World. UCF has not had a difficult tests thus far either. A blowout win over North Carolina A&T. They actually struggle with Jacksonville State, who's one of those kind of sneaky group of 5 teams that's good. 17 to 10.
Is that right?
They're in the Sun Belt. RJ Harvey, of course, now with the Broncos. That's UCF's biggest loss from last year. And then KU goes to Texas Tech on October 11th. Again, they've played Pine Bluff and Kent State. Kent State, the worst team in the MAC. Tech's blown out both of those opponents. Hard to tell where they are on that front, but I think right now, if we're looking at this holistically, not necessarily paying too close of attention to everybody's opponents, you look at Iowa State and Texas Tech probably right now, or who people would say are the odds-on favorite to win the league. So that'll be a test in Lubbock.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lubbock has had so much money come in as well. I mean, that's just a testament to their boosters. But Springer said it a couple days ago about how he doesn't fully believe in Texas Tech. I think I do. I think that Texas Tech, now granted, like you said, they haven't really played anybody. It was Pine Bluff and
Kent
State, yeah. I think they are the real deal. I'm. It does make me a little nervous. Obviously, going down to Lubbock, that's an electric atmosphere, right? They do the tortilla stuff and whatever that is.
Yeah, we need to ask Haney to go into greater detail on the quote tortilla stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really understood that, and Haney would know because I guess Haney was he was the voice of the Red Raiders for at least a couple of years. So yeah, we need to ask him about that because it's so fascinating to me. I guess I probably should read into it, but they really do scare me. That one. I'm being a realist.
Well, KU will go in there as underdogs. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna chalk that one up as a loss right now. I mean, Kansas is not gonna finish 11-1, even though that's what we constantly say. They're either going to be 12-0 or 11-1 or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and chalk that one up as a win. And if Kansas does go in there, it's not. I mean, it'll be a little bit of a surprise, but as of right now, the way that I see the two squads matching up feels like a loss to me. But again, I've seen crazier things happen.
I've talked a lot about the bye weeks and how I like their placement in the schedule. Well, after Texas Tech is a bye week, and that's ahead of the K-State game, October 25th. KU needs to get K-State. It's been way too long, and yeah, we talk about the 16 years, but the last 2 years have been the most painful. I mean, you look 29-27 last year, and KU has the fumble from Jalen Daniels. They had the miscue from Jameel Croft, and JD played really well that game otherwise, so that was disappointing. And then the year prior, you were down to your third-string quarterback and a true freshman in Cole Ballard, and still should have won. You had the muff punt from Trevor Wilson. So again, special teams, both occasions, really hurt KU. But that's going down on October 25th. K-State reeling right now. Who knows where they'll be at October 25th? But they're 1-2, and their victory was a comeback victory against the Fighting Hawks of North Dakota. They lost to Iowa State, and then they lost to Army. So a lot of head scratching going on right now in the Little Apple. November 1st, KU gets Oklahoma State. That team is in the dumps. They just lost by 66 to Oregon. They don't have a quarterback right now, and Mike Gundy certainly on the hot seat in the eyes of many, despite the fact that he brought that program for so many years to national relevance. And then November, probably the toughest 2-game stretch, talking back to back for KU, will be at Arizona on November 8th. You do have a bye week on the 15th, but then at Iowa State in a brisk affair on November 22nd. Plus, then you've got Utah at home to close it out. So again, on paper, we don't know how these teams are actually going to look. We thought Oklahoma State was going to be good last year. They went 0-9 in conference play. But those
Right.
last 3 games right now, to me, are looking like most difficult, with 2 road tilts against good teams, and then Black Friday, Utah comes calling.
Yeah, I mean, look, we saw Arizona kind of foul their pants on national television last year too. I was always a big Noah Fafita believer, and they just completely wet the bed. So, um, I still believe in Noah Fafita, even though they lost Ted McMillan. I think they are a good program. I think they're showing it right now, right? And like you said, that's going to be the toughest stretch, and that is when you need to win football games, because that is really going to determine where you end up in the postseason. If Kansas has 5 wins at that point, heading into those last 3 games, that's really going to be kind of in their heads of like, we got to get one of these to get bowl eligible. If we get all of these, then maybe that could really shake some things up, and potentially have some CFP implications. I mean, who knows, depending on how good those teams are. We have a little bit more of an idea in terms of how these teams are looking as we did in the offseason. We thought K-State was going to be a lot better. We thought Oklahoma State was going to be a lot better. But Utah looks good. We thought they were going to be good. Arizona looks good. We thought they were going to be good. Same with Iowa State, right? We knew Rocco Beck was going to be back. We knew that they were losing some guys, but also they have looked really good. So those last 3 games are really going to be a point of emphasis, I think, for Lance and company. I know coaches always say, "Oh, well, we look at it one game at a time, right? We're only looking at West Virginia right now. We don't want to look too far into the future." It's got to be in the back of their minds of like, "Hey, we got to have at least a good record heading into those last 3 games."
Well, I think we both feel very confident that KU is going to be in a better spot win-loss wise than they were last year, when it was a much better, I guess, much more difficult spot to be in than even you're describing, of potentially going into those last 3 games with 5 wins. KU was 2-6 and had to win 4 games, 3 against top 25 teams. They won the first 3
Right.
just to get to bowl eligibility. But yeah, it's kind of like you look at the schedule now and say, man, what a great opportunity right now, given where some of the teams are at, to stack some wins before that tough on paper road stretch. They're all going to be tough though, and it all starts conference season a week from Saturday against West Virginia. We're talking KU basketball after this on Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks for watching KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City.
This is Dale Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Hey, as you know, we are a daily show here on Rock Chalk Sports,
That's
and you
right.
can find us on KansasNation.com, also YouTube, and anywhere. Make sure you catch us on social media. But we have some weekly shows as well. Our segment coming up after this one, Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, will be on. He has a weekly show that he's going to be starting very soon called Hanni and the Hawks. Also, check it out if you haven't yet. Initial episode, Legends of Kansas. What can you tell us about that, Dan, that dropped yesterday?
Yeah, well, it's a fitting name, Legends of Kansas, because you got 2 former Orange Bowl champions and 1 former Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, future Hall of Famer. I'll go ahead and say it. Chris Harris Jr., as well as Brandon McAnderson. They're doing their own podcast here on Kansas Nation. You can check it out on our YouTube, as well as on KansasNation.com. Really excited for that partnership with Chris Harris Jr. and Brandon McAnderson as well. And like you said, Haney's going to have his own show. We're actually going to hear from Haney relatively soon on this show as well. Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer are going to have their own show. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to stay tuned, because we got a lot of stuff coming up for you guys.
Nate Bukaty as well on the Jayhawker podcast, and Patrick Strothman out of Wichita as well. All your best coverage for everything KU here at KansasNation.com. And yeah, check out the website. And as Gabe Boucher, friend of the show, would say, your TikToks and your YouTubes. Make sure that you're checking those out as well in regards to social media. Hey, before Haney comes on, let's talk a little Jayhawk basketball. I'm not playing guess the starting 5. We've done that a million times. So we're not going to argue about who's going to start at the 2 or the 3 for Kansas. We have a pretty good idea. Granted, we'll figure out when that comes out. But as Coach Self often says, the media likes to chat about that and likes to worry about that more often. But let's talk kind of deeper rotational pieces. I don't love the fact that you and I are high on the same guys, but we do hear the same rumblings. And there are a couple young players in this program that I think are going to be more impactful this upcoming season than many people may have thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as of right now, like if you would have asked me this before we got a lot of these guys, I was gonna probably say that we had the same issue as last year, and that was depth, right? I mean, last year you didn't have a lot of depth on that squad, and now looking at it with all the new late additions for this Kansas basketball team, with Paul and Bia, with Cole Rosario, with a lot of these guys, you look at them and you say, man, like they've got some talent. Like it's going to be hard to not have them out there on the court, right? Ginyu Gala, that's a guy who played at a very high level in Canada, averaged upwards of 20 points per game, and he's essentially going to be like our seventh, eighth, ninth man coming off the bench. Right now, he could be potentially the backup point guard for whenever Darren Peterson needs to come out, but it's still going to be fascinating. So I think the minutes distribution is going to be really interesting to see, especially in the beginning. And now here's the thing: whenever we look at that Louisville exhibition, I don't think it's going to be fair to determine what the minutes distribution is going to look like there, because at that point, Bill Self is probably just trying to figure out anything. I think last year, Rakis Passmore, I think, was our number one leading scorer
Yeah, well,
in the
last year Dickinson and Griffin both didn't play
right, and
too.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Both of them were out. So the minutes distribution for the Louisville game is not going to be it's not going to reflect the way that it shows up. And also with the Fort Hays State game, right? We're going to see a lot of some of the younger guys. We're probably going to see a lot of like Justin Cross and different guys like that. So we're not going to know until a little bit farther down the line. Maybe Green Bay, we might start to see it formate a little bit. But to me, it's just going to be so tough to keep Palumbia off that court because he's so long and lengthy and athletic too, right? You have Flory Bidunga, and could Flory potentially play a four spot? Could we go two bigs and have Paul and Bia out there and be essentially the five man, right? Because his standing reach is damn near 10 feet, right? So it's just hard to keep a guy like that off of the court. Same with Cole Rosario. Cole Rosario can shoot the lights out, and he has been on a upward rocket like trajectory in terms of his recruitment, so much so and so fast that he decided to reclass and then come to Kansas. He wasn't even on anybody's radar back in September. So it is going to be interesting to see where the minutes distribution comes from with a lot of these different guys. And then you look at, and I know we didn't want to get into this, but you look at the other rotational pieces who could potentially be starting fives, like El Marco, like Melvin Council, like Jaden Dawson, like these kind of guys. It's just going to be like, where do the minutes come from, and how much is the actual starting five going to be playing? When you look at it in terms of holistically throughout the game.
Well, and we don't know, right? Because
Yeah.
last year we looked at this and we said, "Oh my God, you've got Shaq Moore and you've got Diggy Coit. There's not enough minutes for all these guys." But realistically, we think the depth, certainly from an athleticism and a talent standpoint, is way better
Oh
than last
yeah.
year. And that's not a stab, but you look, DeJuan Harris and Hunter Dickinson weren't the most athletic guys out there, right? So we, at this time, again, we get in the starting five. We feel pretty confident about DP and Flory and Trey White. I think is probably going to be your four.
Yeah.
And then your 2-3, if you're talking about maybe putting three guys in there, you're going to see El Marco, you're going to see Melvin Council, you're going to see Jaden Dawson, right? Cole Rosario, along with Bryson Tiller, those two to me seem like the types of guys that are almost forcing the coaching staff to play them from everything I've
Right.
heard about them. So Rosario, a guy who came in late, unsure the expectations, maybe a program guy. Yeah, it seems like you said, the trajectory is going up on him. And then you're hearing great things about Samis Calderon as well. I totally agree about Paul and Bia. 7'8" wingspan. You mentioned the standing reach. I mean, that guy's going to have to be out there as well. And if you do see Flory and Mbia out there, man, that's going to be crazy
Scary.
athletic. But Bryson Tiller, I mean, that's a special talent
know.
too. So who knows how deep this team will go in terms of minutes distribution. Again, you only have so many to give out, but exciting to talk about when we're talking Jayhawk basketball. Late Night in the Fog, Friday, October 17th, 6:30. Make sure you stay up to date on all the information on that. We're going to be joined by Brian Hanni next segment to talk all things KU. You're watching KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
John Kellerman, Dan Courtwright back with you for Rock Chalk Sports here on kansasnation.com. Thanks for listening as well. ESPN Kansas City. Every Thursday on the show, Miller Retirement Group brings us Brian Hanni. BH, thanks for coming on in studio again. We don't have a game to talk about this weekend, which means that we're probably going to have to relive Saturday a little bit more. But first, you're here safe. That was the number one thing. You got back safely. KU got off to a great start in that one, and I was going crazy here in Lawrence. I said a little bit earlier this week, it's the most fun that anybody's ever had watching a game by themselves in that first quarter. Going crazy. I was like, all right, I need to take a deep breath here. Jumping off couches and anyway, but yeah, then KU we didn't see their offense out there much after the first quarter. Didn't really have a rhythm, and Mizzou seemed to execute all the time.
Yeah, time of possession ended up being huge in this one, but yeah, to take it back to square one, we did make it back safely. It was a raucous environment to the point where they had us park in this parking garage that was a couple of blocks away from the stadium. Not far, not complaining, but the point is we had a long meandering walk through the construction, through a bunch of fan tailgates. And I had told our crew, hey, we're going to lean into our colors. We're going to all wear blue. And so here come like 5 big guys wearing blue.
Yeah.
And man, we heard it.
Oh
All
man.
the
Oh,
way down to a
gosh.
6-year-old who told us we were number one with a specific
Oh
gesture.
man.
He was 6. And then he said what he thought about Kansas, which I can't repeat. And I'm like, wow, they trained him young over here. But you know what? As crazy as that felt coming from a 6-year-old, I thought to myself, at least they're educating their youth on how important
Right.
this rivalry actually
good
is.
point.
You know,
Yeah.
would that be exactly how I'd want my kids to welcome in somebody? Maybe not, but
Right.
they understood the assignment.
Yeah.
That Kansas Mizzou is a big deal, and so tip of the cap there. I saw a lot of Jayhawks there too as we made our way through there, and that was kind of fun. It's like when you run into a long lost friend on the other side of the world, and it's like, hey, you're here, all right.
Right.
And so there was a certain amount of camaraderie there. The start out the gates, we talked about on last week's episode, getting off to a fast start, putting the pressure on Prbula and all of their newcomers offensively and see if they can climb out of a hole. They could. 21-6, we felt like we were in a great spot there. But as the game went on, and you alluded to this, time of possession was 2-1, total yardage at one point in the game was 3-1. It didn't finish up there. Point is, we found a way to play even up the bulk of the way, but I think late it caught up to Kansas, particularly on defense. That back-breaking long touchdown run at the end of the game by Roberts when maybe we were out of gas at that point after punting it away. But certainly love the fight out of our guys. Love the way we responded after a start that wasn't quite what we wanted 5 minutes in. Certainly not exactly how we drew it up, but to race out to a 2-score lead and to dominate the first quarter when it was all said and done, thanks to the big Mason Ellis and Alexander scoop and score play, man, that was awesome. So I think my big takeaway is it's not the result we wanted, certainly, but how far have we come that we could go into their house, make them nervous throughout the day, be in position to win it. Disappointing, certainly, and we're not in the business of moral victories. I get that. But as I said to somebody before kickoff, had they scheduled this reunion 5 years ago, we would not have been able to field a competitive team to go in
absolutely.
there and have any
Right.
kind of showing we want to be proud of. And in this case, our guys believe they could win from the jump. And, we look forward to the rematch September the 12th of next year. It's already on the calendar.
Yeah,
Already
hey,
looking forward to it.
it's a full year from tomorrow, right? Yeah, it's definitely already on the calendar. Let's go back to that kind of long stretch where Mizzou had 32 of 33 plays. You had the 15-play drive where they got the touchdown. And again, credit to them. And DL, I know, mentioned playing a little bit freer when you don't really have a kicker on 3rd and 4th downs. And I
Right.
thought that was a really good point because they were able to do that. But after that long drive, it's 21-13. You felt like Kansas needed to get something going because the rhythm that they had in the first quarter wasn't there. What did you see? What was your understanding on the play that happened with the JD fumble? Because I think we all saw it. I mean, you can say what you see, and certainly the ball was batted back into the end zone. But had that been called correctly, Kansas would have kept possession, correct? Which could have been huge for many reasons. And the fact that KU had their defense out there, who would be out there for 17 more plays, and also the offense could have had an opportunity to at least get a first down or two to give them a breather.
Yeah, devastating call. At the same time, we were backpedaling, retreating, thanks to great pressure, and that's when stuff can blow up and happen negatively. And so, yeah, it's interesting to see the fallout several days later. Not only that, but then the crew reprimanded
Right.
for missing the drop kick call and all that. So disappointing on a number of levels, and obviously a pivotal play that had a huge swing both in score, momentum, as you said, time of possession, plays on the field, all that. But at the end of the day, not crying over spilled milk, because we could have put ourselves in a better position and not be in that spot. And I think it's revisionist history to go back too much and talk about shoulda, coulda, wouldas, when, quite frankly, we didn't have coverage on that side, and he was retreating and scrambling. And when you're backpedaling and in a tough spot like that, sometimes mistakes happen, and that's exactly what happened. And you gave the officials a chance to possibly get it wrong there. So I think for Kansas, it's more about what happened late in the game when we were in control, give up a scoring drive, can't punch him back in the mouth, and then obviously we bet on our defense and our remaining timeouts, but a group at that point that on a really well blocked play to the edge against a Kansas defense that was worn down gives up the house call, game over, and obviously that's something we'd like to be in a much better position. I really thought when we sat here a week ago, we were going to be able to run the ball much more effectively.
Yeah.
When you go back at the end of the day and you look at Highshaw's numbers and Leshaun Williams, who we knew was coming back, I thought he'd be a little more effective, but clearly probably wasn't still 100%. The lack of effective run game, the lack of, to be able to impose our will on them in one of the most important aspects of successful winning football is the ability to run the ball, to win the matchups in the trenches, to keep possession, to control time of possession, all that. And the fact that Hishaw struggled to get 2 yards a carry, and you look at the other side and what they did with Hardy and Roberts against us, pretty night and day differential. And that's where you hope with another year, when they come back around next year, those are much more even up statistics in the trenches.
Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, joins the show here in studio. And Brian, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about Kansas's lack of run game. Essentially, they only got 3 net yards, I believe, on the entire game. And this is something that kind of popped into our heads this week, is that maybe we took Devin Neal a little bit for granted. Obviously, Daniel Hishaw and Leshaun Williams, those are our guys. We understand the amount of talent that they have, but filling the shoes of arguably the greatest running back in Kansas history, at least in terms of a statistical standpoint, we thought it was going to be a much easier thing to do, right? So when you don't have a Devin Neal in your backfield, and when you have guys who are not able to get 2, 3, 4 yards at a time, then all of a sudden you can't establish a run game, and then that makes your offense a little bit more predictable. I guess just talk about Kansas's run game, and in terms of, do you think it's an issue as of right now, or do you think that Daniel Hishaw and his level of talent, like he's going to have to break one off soon, right?
Yeah, and first off, love the new Pat McAfee setup. We'll frame the question you said as greatest modern era running back,
Right,
because you got Gale Sayers sitting right in front of you there,
that's
and I
right.
thought we'd point that out.
Yeah,
So,
statistical standpoint.
statistical standpoint, collective yards,
Yeah.
all that. But yeah, I think there'll always only be one GOAT at the running back position in Kansas, when one of the top 5 greatest to ever play the sport played here at the running back position.
Right.
That is the Kansas Comet, who, by the way, you can't see it on camera, but they've also got a inscripted Kansas Comet autograph number 48 vintage KU jersey. This studio that Chad Boger and company put together is amazing. So we digress. I'm a memorabilia guy. What can I say? But yeah, Devin is one of those guys that you almost did take for granted, because it was so consistent. It was so week in, week out productive. I remember him getting hurt early in the game at K-State and being worried that, is this where it comes to a screeching halt? And he's right back out there 10 minutes later, being the same version of Devin. I mean, he was year in or year out, week in, week out, dependable, reliable on availability. He was dependable, reliable on productivity. He caught balls out of the backfield. There was a key drop at the running back position last week that could have been a drive extender. And maybe he was turned around a little bit on it, but that's a play that I think Devin makes probably 9 times out of 10. And so, there's definitely plenty of things you miss about him. Having said that, I genuinely believe that Hishaw can be an all-conference caliber back. There was a time early in his career where some looked at him as our best pro prospect on the offensive side of the ball prior to the devastating injury he had more than 2 years ago now. And it's been a long road back from that. But this is a guy that had all the projectables you wanted. And so I still think he's going to have a monster year But when you look at some of the numbers coming out of Columbia and our ineffectiveness in establishing a run threat, certainly that's concerning. But I think you got a chance to get healthy these next couple of weeks versus West Virginia and Cincinnati. They won't have quite the same imposing front in the defensive stopping run game. They don't have quite the pair of Georgia transfers coming
Right.
in, or the
Yeah.
NIL dollars or revenue share dollars spent on the defense that Missouri did. But you also expected better. And the last thing I said to you guys when we were talking about keys to the game was, man, I thought this could be a legacy game for JD, but I also thought we could do more with the ground attack. And so that was maybe next to time of possession, the most eye-opening, concerning stat coming out of there was the fact that we never got it going on the ground. And it was a staggering differential when you look at how they ran it against us.
Yeah, and that plays a part when you're talking about KU's defense as well. And we talked a lot about how KU couldn't get the run game going, so then the defense was out there forever, but the defense couldn't get off the field and give Kansas a chance to
Yeah.
establish the run game. KU ran only 48 plays to Mizzou's 86. KU as a whole had 107 tackles, Mizzou 47. Have you ever seen that in a box score? I mean, defensively, obviously, special teams is brought in
Yeah.
as well. I mean, so that truly was a rarity. Last thing about this game, because then we got to move on. Couple guys who are warriors out there. Bengali Kamara, he came back. He wasn't listed on the depth chart early last week. He was back with 9 tackles. He was wreaking havoc early. And then Trey Lathan, 13 tackles. I mean, these are real guys that KU has defensively, and that's a big reason why you go into any game knowing that you've got a shot, because you have real Big 12 caliber athletes.
No doubt. I remember Trey was into double-digit tackles entering the fourth quarter, and I turned to David and said, "We've called the game before when he had double-digit tackles. It was against us
Right,
in
yeah.
Morgantown, and we
West Virginia,
lost in
right.
part because of it. It's nice to have him on our side, right? And he's been just rock steady solid each of his 3 games as a Jayhawk. But what Bengali Kamara did to come back from an injury that there was, I don't want to say there was misinformation out there, because I think some of the information that people did have, probably the tea leaves pointed to a more extended absence. There was a lot of doom and gloom that was maybe unnecessary and overblown, but the fact that he came back as quickly as he did, I think surprised everybody involved, even those closest to it. Speaks to his toughness, speaks to his character, that he wanted to be there for his teammates in one of the biggest games of the year. And I think David Lawrence said this several times, even in defeat, it's the type of toughness and sacrifice and just gritted out type performance that will be remembered for a long, long time. Had we won, David said that was the type of, comeback for this game multiple weeks sooner than others were forecasting,
Yeah.
and you help them win. David was going to exalt that on one of the all-time legendary gutty performances in KU football history. Sadly, the wins affect how we remember such things, and when the wins don't come, it probably would get lost in the shuffle historically. But yeah, I know a lot of people that were freaking out over what they thought was going to be the middle of our defense after that injury prior to the Wagner game, and the fact that he only missed the Wagner game, and he went from start of the week to middle of the week doing things that, I mean, it was like, who laid hands on this guy?
Right.
It wasn't the Mr. Miyagi, but it was something
Right.
that they got him back. And I think a lot of that is the kid and the toughness and the character, but also kudos to our strength staff and all they did to make, I don't want to say a miraculously quick recovery, but a
Quicker than the
jaw-droppingly
average
quick.
man.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
quick.
The 3 of us aren't coming back that
No,
quick. I
no, no,
promise you
no.
that.
No, I pulled both my hamstrings like a month ago, and I'm still limping
Just
around.
talking KU football,
I
you
know
did, yeah.
it's not good. Brian, obviously, want to put this game behind us, look towards the future, and we'll talk more West Virginia next week, obviously. But looking at this bye week, what are some things that you really want to see KU sort of fix up in this bye week that's coming really at a perfect time when you got 2 back-to-back home games that feel really winnable?
Yeah. Coach Leipold hasn't spoken to the media this week to lay out the bye week plan, but thinking back to previous bye weeks early when you've had them, whether it was Leipold or previous coaching staffs that I've worked under here, Les Miles, David Beatty, a lot of this time is given to the younger guys. Now there's still reps for the ones and twos, don't get me wrong, but you give some of the heavy lifters lighter loads in this particular week. You do try to, shore up some things here or there, and I'm sure all the stats that we just mentioned in the run game and run stopping game have been discussed at length. But I think that this week is in a lot of ways about easing up on the guys that have been doing the heavy lifting and giving some chances to young guys. And then late in this week, which might be today, you start to look at West Virginia a little bit more. That's a tough one to start to look at, though, because they're coming off really, really disappointing
Yeah.
performance. And hey,
Right.
we've lost in Athens, Ohio before,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I can empathize with their crew, Tony Caridi and company, going up there and losing, but they only scored 10 points. And they've got their rival game with Pitt this week. Maybe that's a better barometer. I expect them to show a lot more of a pulse than what we saw in week 2 out of West Virginia. But yeah, you start to look at them, you start to put things in for that opponent at this stage in the week after a more slow ramp up to start the week, I would guess, based on how it's done previously. But beyond that, I think this week's mostly about us, as you alluded to, and hopefully get a chance to, on film, address some of the things that could have been better. But more than anything, get guys in a healthy physical mindset and physical standpoint, I should say, heading into your week 4 opponent and a start to league play where, at least on paper, it feels like you could ramp up, get some momentum rolling. And then again, on paper, it would appear a back half of your schedule is loaded.
Yeah.
So you love to bounce back from the Columbia showing with a big, first and foremost, turnout by the fans at the booth. Let's pack the booth. Let's support these guys big time next Saturday night at 5 p.m. But then string a couple of home wins together. Take that show on the road down to Orlando at UCF at the Bounce House and see what you can do. Because if you finish up the first 6 of your schedule at 5-1, and we shouldn't be extrapolating that far. Coach is just thinking about West Virginia. But with a schedule that is certainly navigable over these next 3 weeks, where you could dare to dream a 3-0 start to league play, well, then you're right in the thick of it as Big 12 title contenders. Right now, everybody's talking about Iowa State, and for good reason. You got a conference win already on a neutral field. You got a win over Iowa already. But I think had Kansas held on to that lead in Columbia, we'd be in the top 20 of the polls right now, and we'd be right there nipping at their
Absolutely.
heels as the second most talked about team in the Big 12. You're not far off from being that. You can get back to that perch with a nice fortnight at home, back-to-back home games here, but a lot easier said than done because every game in this league, as wide open as it is going to be a fight, and I expect both those games to be that. But let's see where Kansas comes out of the blocks here, because I think we all agree once you flip the schedule card to the back half, it looks pretty daunting there. So you'd like to get some momentum and a higher pecking order in the league race heading into it, and not be in the position you were a year ago where you were playing catch up in the second half of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, nothing brings confidence quite like winning. KU's got an opportunity to do that against a potentially broken West Virginia team who might be without one of their best offensive players. It's sure looking that way. And then Cincinnati, who we know is a solid program, but generally middling at best in the conference. So we'll have to wait and see. But it'll be a lot of fun as KU hopefully stacks a few wins. A word on KU basketball, Brian. What's the most suicides you've ever done in one day? Boot camp has begun. How many minutes would you last at boot camp? And your thoughts as this team has kind of come together and is definitely going to be ranked lower than they have been the past couple of seasons, but we're kind of high on them here in the River City.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to Kerry Renfro in Topeka, Kansas. He was the first coach I ever had that made us run suicides at the end of practice. Landon Middle School, A-team basketball. I was on the A-team, but I was like into the bench A-team, and I was the slowest dude who was always the last one getting back to the line, dragging it, and then they'd have me step up and try to hit the free throws to end it. But at that point, you got no legs, and they're coming up short, and he'd blow the whistle on the line, blow the whistle on the line, and I hated that.
Yeah.
But he made a great team out of us, and we had many more, much more talented guys than me that made that a great group. But most suicides I ever run, I don't know the number, but he had us do it for a good 20, 25 minutes at the end of one particular practice. At that point, like you're looking for the bucket to puke in. Right?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah.
And so that maybe is the more memorable aspect of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, super excited about KU hoops. I forget the other part of your question because I was having
just a
PTSD
roster
of my
right.
suicide running
roster outlook.
Yeah.
We're going to be ranked lower than ESPN had an article just last week had KU slotted in at number 21, which we feel is low. Understandable given the past couple of years. You figured it wouldn't happen a third time where KU would be ranked, certainly not number one with so much turnover. But we feel, I guess, inside the walls, if you will, of Lawrence, Kansas, that this is going to be a much better team than the 21st best team in the country. Your thoughts and maybe some of the things that you've seen, you've heard about some of these guys who will be impactful.
Well, I heard you guys in the previous segment talking about Cole Rosario, and I was there for his first day of practice on campus back in the middle of the summer. And to me, on day one, and this isn't the case every day, but on day one, he already looked like the third best player on the floor.
Wow.
Wow.
And now there have been other days where he's not been that.
Yeah.
But it was that kind of immediate impact from a guy that should still be in high school. And he very humbly gave the cliched quote now that, when you become the best player in the gym, find another gym.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he when he says that, he's not trying to be braggadocious or saying I'm the man.
I'll never forget that quote.
What's
I mean,
that?
I'll never forget that quote.
And
I mean,
he
that's
said
just
it
a
with
great
such
quote.
confidence
Yeah.
and it wasn't like a cocky thing. It was I want to continue to be the best I can be. And so if you hit your ceiling at a certain level, high school basketball, prep ball, whatever, then you even if it means reclassifying, you come in a year early to the next place and take on a new challenge where you're not the best player in the gym. And I loved it when he said that from such a young kid, but at the same time, such a poised, mature, and really impressively well-spoken young man. So super excited about him, excited about all our guys. And yeah, I don't mind the fact that we're 15th or 21st or whatever ranking you're looking at, because we are way, way, way more athletic than we were a year ago. We're longer, we're faster. We've got an alpha with the ball in his hands at game point, which I think is going to make a big, big difference. Flory Bidunga has taken significant steps from the player we saw at the end of last year to the guy he's going to be in the season ahead. And if we get more consistent perimeter shooting, because that to me is still a question mark. You don't have a Grady Dick walking through that door, right? If we get consistent perimeter shooting from some of the guys that were brought in to do that, the Dawsons of the world, that kind of thing, then I think you're feeling pretty dang good about this team, and you're bullish about the depth that we have, the athleticism that we have, because in both of those two key categories, it's as good as it's been since the 2020 team. And that's going past the championship team, you notice. I think we're more athletic at certain spots than that group was. We're deeper at certain spots, but we're not proven at those spots. You think back to those two teams, you had more established, proven veterans there. This is going to be a younger group, which is why they don't have maybe the preseason hype that last year's team had or the team before that had. But think about it. You had a longer in the tooth, more experienced, but less athletic team. Now you've got a much more elements of the unknown, unproven, unexperienced, but oozing with potential, off the charts with athleticism and length type team. Honestly, we saw how the others two panned out. I want to take my chances with this group. And the best part is you got the Hall of Famer Bill Self coming back to coach him. And when he is different level excited, the rest of us should all be. And I sense an invigoration there that's pretty special from the Hall of Famer. Can't wait to see it come together.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about Miller Retirement Group, Brian.
Yeah, big thanks to thank you, Sean. Big thanks to Nate Miller for making these possible. He's just right down the street from you guys here, just one block over, and do what many of us have done in trusting our financial future, our long-term investments to Nate Miller. Sound advice. He's a guy that whether you've got an extensive portfolio or you're just starting one up, he'll sit down with you and carve the best path toward your most financially secure future. Check him out today, millerretirementgroup.com. millerretirementgroup.com. He's super philanthropically involved in this community as well, which is how he and I first got linked up. And I think the world of him from a character standpoint. So check him out today. Appreciate the sponsorship. Great job on the new set. I'm going to maybe loan you guys, although it's only a 1 of 15 in existence collector's item. So this is like elite level stuff. But I've got a Greg Gurley bobblehead.
Oh my God.
Gifted to me by the man himself.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I don't know if I want to part with it, but it kind of needs to be here. I feel like,
I would think,
you got all the grades.
Yeah.
I have it on my shelf in my office right now next to a Scott Pollard Sacramento Kings bobblehead. And the irony is the Gurley bobblehead towers above the Pollard bobblehead. So they're not built to scale necessarily.
Right.
The Kings one was part of like a cheap giveaway that 5,000 fans got. The 1 of 15 Gurley bobblehead was just like gargantuanly bigger. So can't wait to see that up here on your.
I'm surprised it's 1 of 15 because David Lawrence has one of each of those in each of his rooms of his
Yeah,
house.
right, yeah.
So I'm
Oh,
David
surprised
Lawrence
that
probably
there's-
has the other 14. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, they weren't
Absolutely.
big sellers, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But those of us that were lucky enough to get them, we're very grateful.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
absolutely cool. No, yeah, we're excited about the memorabilia. Dan has said many times he's a maximalist. So,
I am.
So you're gonna
Yes.
see 2, 3, 4 more items every single day here.
Yeah, I was telling you off air that all of this stuff is just because my girlfriend didn't want it in the house anymore. So I
believe me,
I
I've
was
got-
like, oh, I'll put it on the desk.
I've got
It
some
works.
tubs in my garage and bobbleheads and all that sort of thing. Brian, thanks again for coming on. Enjoy your Saturday off. You're gonna have, I guess, 1 or 2 this season before
Yeah.
basketball gets going. But appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Always a
course.
pleasure. And again, congrats on this amazing new venture. Really proud of you guys and excited for you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely. We're very excited. KansasNation.com. Swing by sometime when you're walking down Mass Street. Take a peek in, and yeah, we're excited. You're going to see a couple very large inflatable Jayhawks as you swing by. So I think you'll know which one is ours here at Kansas Nation. After this, we're doing a little special fantasy draft. Thanks for watching on KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City.
This is Dale Highshaw, and you're watching kansasnation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Thanks as well for listening to ESPN Kansas City. Want to shout out Miles Schneider and everybody over at Crown Automotive. Really appreciate their partnership. And Kansas Nation, as we talked about a little bit earlier, we are growing. We're going to have a lot of weekly shows. You're going to see Brandon McAnderson. You're going to see Greg Gurley and a lot of familiar faces. You're going to hear a lot of familiar voices as well. KansasNation.com is where you find the best coverage of all things KU. And follow us on Twitter at The Kansas Nation. We're on Twitch. Like I said, YouTube. Where else are we? We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Yeah.
MySpace. No, that's not.
No,
Not on
Zanga.
I'm on LinkedIn if you want to network, but
Za-
no, we're
Come
all
connect
over the
with me.
place. So
Zanga. Yeah, Zanga was great.
Zanga.
You remember Zanga?
God, you're so old. I don't even know
Zanga
what
was
that is.
fantastic, man. It was better than MySpace. All right, fantasy draft. This is not my how do I put this?
Forte.
Yeah,
Strong
not
suit?
not my forte. Shout out
Yeah.
Phil Forte, former North Carolina.
Matt
great.
Forte.
Yeah, Matt Forte.
Yeah, former Bear great.
Okay.
Bear running back.
Oh
And you
my
know
God, that's right.
you know
Matt Forte.
he's a chef. He's like the head chef at a restaurant in Chicago now.
Is that right?
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
So Phil Forte was the Oklahoma State player, right?
Yeah.
And then his dad played at KU, I think. Who was the North Carolina player in like the early 2000s? It was like Jason Forte or something like that.
Sounds
My
right.
computer's dead, so I can't look it up.
Right.
But
I don't know.
Anyway, we'll get that figured out. But yeah, no, this is Dan's thing mainly, and yet I somehow find a way to come out on top. Now,
No, here's the thing. You beat me in the ones that aren't like related to sports. So like what we're doing today is we're doing a football draft of all the Big 12 mascots. But if we're ever doing like, a draft of just like, dad moves or whatever, or what was the one that you just absolutely killed me on?
tailgate items.
Yeah, tailgate
Worst
items.
things to bring to a kid's birthday party.
Yeah, right. Like those ones you usually beat me. But if you associate them with like a sports team, which that's how my brain works, then that's when I usually come out on top.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It usually comes to me as the draft gets going. But every Thursday here on Rock Chalk Sports, we do a fantasy draft, and we do need the MIAA flipping coin to see who gets first pick. We just do a standard snake draft.
This is the first time I'm showing the public our MIAA flipping coin. Is that correct?
I believe so.
It's the MIAA flipping coin, MIAA on one side, football player on the other. It's from the only game I got meaningful playing time in from 2018, almost a year ago to the day.
Wow.
September 12th, 2019. This was against Northeastern State. I played in 3 snaps. 2 of them were victory formation.
So I'm always confused when you say meaningful playing time.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay, so that compared to other playing
Compared
time
to
was
other
less
playing times,
meaningful than
which
that.
is none.
And you said you ran a halfback dive or something on the one that wasn't
It was
victory
inside
formation.
zone.
Inside zone. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I've told you about tight end pass in 6th grade for me. I mean, I hauled that thing in for a 1-point
Good for
conversion.
you.
It was great.
Man, it's awesome.
Yeah, didn't kick the PATs, had the 1-point conversion.
All right.
Anyway, flip this up. MIAA is
Heads. Football player is tails. I will go ahead and flip. I'll let you
if
call
you're
it
new to the show, I get it right basically every time. All right. Heads. Is it heads?
It was kind of loud. I'm
Oh
sorry.
man, that is
It was
loud.
heads.
That is loud. Heads. The one time I don't go tails, you were probably excited. Switch it up. All right, I get 1-1 overall.
Unreal.
And okay, we're doing a fantasy draft, as Dan talked about, of mascots in the Big 12 being assigned to a football position.
positions.
Why don't you run us down the football positions we're going to do? We stick to 6.
Yes. So we're going quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, and then we'll go somewhere on the defense. just one defensive position, and then we're also going head coach.
'Kay.
So I'll let you. You're wanting to start it off, right?
1 overall.
We'll
and,
go snake.
And,
So we're
yeah,
going
I'm
snake.
computerless, so I'm going old school with the pen and paper. This first one is pretty obvious to me. I just got to decide which position rather I'm gonna go with. But at 1 overall, drafting at my running back position,
Okay.
I'm going with the Baylor Bears. The Bear.
Yeah,
He's gonna be my
I
running back. I considered him.
respect that.
I considered him up front
Sure.
for obvious reasons.
In the trenches,
And
I
I get it. A lot of times people would rather have a scat back type player back there, as your running back. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to put the Bear back there because who's going to tackle him?
Right. Well, I respect that. That's a solid pick. Man, that's just That's so I'm doing a little bit of research right now.
Wow, the World Wide Web seems like a unfair advantage.
No, it's not an unfair advantage.
Are you trying to figure out what a Ute is?
I am trying to figure out what a Ute is. I'm also trying to figure out what a bearcat is. I've never even. I guess they're a real animal.
Yes, it's a real
I didn't know
animal.
it was a real animal. I thought it was just a mixture of two animals.
But
like
I
a
actually
jay and a
do-
hawk is a jayhawk, but it doesn't exist.
I actually don't know. So a bearcat, is that the same as like a cougar?
Kind of.
Or-
It's a little bit
Yeah.
different. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Our producer Easton John has pulled up a
Huh.
picture. They're smaller than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be like a bear-sized cat, but instead it's like a cat-sized bear.
Oh, wow.
So I know I was wrong about that. All right, for my first overall pick, I can't believe you didn't pick this one. You can veto. I will let you veto.
Stop doing this. Whenever you say you can veto, I always
'Cause I'm
know
gonna
that you're
feel-
cheating.
I'm gonna feel bad if you don't.
Is it a mascot that's in the Big 12 conference?
It's a mascot that's in the Big 12
Okay.
conference. All right,
and you're
so
assigning it to?
I'm gonna go ahead and on my defensive side of the ball, I'm going defense 1-1 overall. Give me the Cyclones, baby. A freaking tornado on defense? Nobody's getting around that.
That's a good pick.
Are you vetoing or no?
I'm not vetoing. That's a good pick.
Cyclone.
Yeah.
I'm not going with the bird either. I'm going with the storm.
Yeah. No, that's a good pick. I think that may be the only option that could potentially
Yeah.
take down the bear.
I mean, imagine like how many passing yards are you getting when you're throwing a football into a literal tornado?
That's the thing is, though, I feel okay since I went ahead and got the bear first overall because I'm going to need a run game, and it would not be a good run game if I had a scat back.
Yeah, who would
back
win,
there.
a bear or a tornado?
I feel okay about the bear. Who else am I going to put back there against the tornado?
Nobody.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
But hey, I'm telling you, man. Hey, you know what? You can have that.
You can't do anything.
The thing
I
about
won
cyclones
already.
The
I
thing,
won.
no, that's not true. The thing about cyclones that you might not be aware of. Where did you grow up? Colorado?
Kansas.
Yeah, Broncos fan through and through.
I'm not Broncos. This is
Cyclones,
coming out of nowhere.
here's the thing, and this is why there's going to be some holes in your defense, and frankly, why there's some holes in that selection. Cyclones come and go. They dissipate. They are not there constantly. They
I
are
understand.
formed, and they are a destructive force when they're formed, but then they
Yes.
go away.
Sure.
So you're gonna have some
just gonna
some holes back there.
It's going to completely deplete you. Plus, it's going to destroy the stadium, so they're going to have to postpone the game. So maybe nobody wins.
Whoa! So this game isn't actually happening?
That might.
Okay, it's a
If
snake
the
draft, so you
stadium's
get
still there.
you get
if
the next pick.
cyclone doesn't destroy it.
You get the next pick.
All right, I'm
The
going to
snake
take the
pick.
next pick. Fine.
Cyclone, I'm fine with that. But
Um,
again, just remember that they go away.
I'm going to go with my front line here.
Cyclone's not going to be on the field the entire game. That's not how it works.
He might.
No, they can
How long
pass
do
through.
cyclones last?
They can
Look
pass
this up. How
through.
long do cyclones last?
They can pass through the stadium,
Yeah.
destroy the stadium, and then leave.
Yeah, but have you seen their mascot is a tornado, but there's like a giant bird also in the middle.
Yeah, it's
So
also
like-
a bird. So yeah, that
yeah,
is
but I'm going
that
with
is
the
confusing.
cyclone.
Yeah.
I'm going with the cyclone.
'Kay.
How long do tornadoes?
All right, you're
last?
going up
So
front. You said.
I'm going with my up front. This just to me feels like what needs to be done. Give me Ralphie the Buffalo as my offensive
Buffalo's a
line.
good choice.
O line Ralphie feels like that's got to be. Which I'm glad that they're back in the Big 12. Are you glad they're back in the Big 12? I'm a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I could do without some of these other programs. Not gonna lie, they don't
True.
seem like Big 12 Big 12 teams.
Yeah, like
But
K-State.
but you know who would get dead last if we did a mascot with the old or mascot draft like this in the old Big 12?
Sooners?
The Cornhuskers.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Especially
bad
if we did the actual mascot. That dude,
Yes.
Big Red.
Yeah, Big Red.
Oh,
That guy sucks.
man, you put a bear in front of him. My goodness.
But I like the Buffalo up front. I mean, the Buffalo's getting a push. Right? Talk about a stampede.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. All right. Well, I'm going to my wide receiver position with my next pick, and this is going to be a take your choice. There are 2 Cougars in the conference. I don't care which one it is. I want one of the Cougars. Wide receivers.
One of them is Kyle Whittingham's wife. Or no, different Cougar. I get it.
Okay. We're going with the Cougar at wide receiver. It's a big cat. It's a fast cat. Can outrun even a cyclone. I'll take my chances with that every time.
Are Cougars big?
They're a big cat.
They're bigger than a house cat, sure.
They're bigger than a house cat. They're not bigger than a. So a wildcat, is that different than a cougar?
I don't know.
It's like the same thing, right? Yeah.
A wildcat is a made-up thing?
No,
that's not true.
They're wildcats. They're
true.
cats in the wild. But I think it's essentially like a cougar's the same thing as like a mountain lion and a puma.
Yeah.
I think that's all the same thing.
Yeah, they're all like a rough lay around that. Well, it's because I remember there's one of them where it's like shocking how small they are, and I'm pretty sure it was a cougar. Maybe it was a wildcat. Wildcats are shockingly small.
Well, I think that they're kind of similar in size, but yes, they're smaller than like a tiger and a lion.
Right?
Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, yeah,
I
like
the
cougar.
wide receiver.
They've got some
shifty.
speed.
I mean, talk about lateral quickness. That's like a little Tate Nagy out there.
Oh man, I'm telling you,
That's good.
That cyclone's gonna just breeze on by and be out of the stadium. Cougar's gonna take advantage. I mean, hard to argue with this. I've got a bear at tailback and a cougar at wide receiver.
Yeah, and I have
freaking
this is
absolutely
on my defense.
Fantastic. All right, I'm actually gonna go with my
37
next.
What? 37 days. 3 to 7 days. That's how long cyclones last.
That is not true. If you're talking about a tornado, I mean, it's okay. I believe
our producer Easton John said
it's touched down and then it's gone. That's how it works.
All I need
Maybe it'll give you a couple good drives.
I'll
give you that. I'll give you that
for an hour.
I'll give you a couple good drives. This is a 3-hour-long football game, 3.5, 3:45 if you're watching on Fox because of the extra commercial break. You need more than this. You need more than that. You get a couple good drives out of the Cyclone. I'm going with quarterback here. I've got a bear at running back and a wide receiver. I got Cougar at wide receiver. Quarterback is going to be somebody that basically can withstand any hits. I don't need any injuries in this one. Solid, dependable. Give me the Knight.
Golden Knight.
Yeah, they don't like being called the Golden Knight.
Right, just the Knights.
But I'll you know what? Either way, I'm going to take the Knight at QB. I mean, you talk about somebody who steps into the huddle with confidence.
Right.
This
is
a Knight.
Yes.
He's got a bear over here.
Ready for war.
A cougar over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's somebody who he's got. Plus, he's well protected.
He brings his own equipment.
He brings his own equipment, so you know that he's protected because
right.
he's got the what
That's
is it?
really
Steel.
True. Yeah.
We'll
it's just I have a
Love
problem
that.
with like, and I think Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and those guys, they went all crazy with the face masks, and now the Golden Knight, they just have a crazy face mask, and it's just like you can't see out of that thing. You know what I mean? It's just
well protected though.
Yeah, but when he's back there, it's just like his line of sight is only like through like this amount. How is he going to go through his read progression? That's my only question, right? Unless he flips the thing up.
Hey, you know what? The Cougar is going to blow by the defense anyway, so. He's got one. He's got one read. He's got one read. Your tornado left the building hours ago.
It's not true.
I mean,
it's there.
It touched down and that was it.
It's around.
All right, back-to-back picks for you.
All right, so I got back-to-backs here. I am. You know what? I'm going to go with the quarterback, and this is going to be a pander pick too because we are Rock Chalk Sports Talk. Give me my quarterback. I'm going to go with. I don't want to go with Nate. Okay, so when I'm thinking of, I'll go through my line of thinking here. When I'm thinking of quarterbacks, I'm thinking of Big J. That's a great quarterback. But when I'm thinking of a Jayhawk, the fictional creature, not the guy in the costume.
No, we're not doing costume guys. In my huddle right now, I have a cougar, I have a bear, and I have a knight.
So for my quarterback, actually, I'm going to go with a guy who is just a gunslinger. Got to give me the Cowboys of Oklahoma State.
Yeah, okay. The true.
Talk about a guy who, I mean, just like I said,
I don't hate that pick. I don't hate that pick.
Gunslinger.
Gunslinger. Yeah.
gunslinger, plus opposable thumbs. One of the few with opposable thumbs who can actually get the ball down the field.
Man,
So,
we're getting, yeah, we're
I
getting
like that.
some
I
guys
got
knocked out here.
all right. I got another one here. I think I'm gonna. Man, I want to go with wide receiver here. I'm stuck between two.
Now, are you allowed? Important question. Are you allowed to select the other Cougar? I'm thinking no.
No, I don't think we can go with the other
Yeah,
Cougar.
no, that would just
no,
be
because
ta-
there's
that
two
would be
Wildcats and there's two
tacky. That would be
Cougars.
tacky.
It would be tacky. I wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't do that to you.
You know what?
I wouldn't do that to
Thanks.
you. For my wide receiver pick, this feels. I mean, it's got to be the Sun Devil, right? Just, I mean, he's got that reach. He can probably fly. I don't know. He's got a pitchfork.
He can stab
impale
a football in the
impale
air.
the
Yeah,
football and
yeah.
then run with it. Now the only issue, I believe he has a cape, and that's easy to tackle. But I have confidence he's gonna be able to stack his corners for sure. So wide receiver, give me the Sun Devil. Although one weakness, not great in night games.
Right. That's very true.
Not great in night games.
That is very
so
true.
It's got to be those 11 a.m. kickoffs. That's where he really thrives.
Oh man, this is tough. There are so many on this list that I do not want to select. I'll tell you that
Same.
much. But I'm gonna go head coach. Give me the Jayhawk. I mean, you
yeah,
can't.
there it is.
You talk about somebody who wins, right? That's the bottom line.
Right.
Jayhawk. I mean, look at what Travis Goff has done since he's
Right.
been here.
That's exactly right.
I mean, he is a Jayhawk through and through. The actual
Yes.
Jayhawk, I assume, is as much of a winner as Travis Goff
That's
and
fair.
the rest of the Kansas athletic program.
Leader of men.
I mean,
is
every
a Jayhawk. That's what I
every
think.
single hire that Travis Goff has made has worked out
Home run.
with flying colors. Look at the brand new stadium. Everything's going great. The Jayhawk symbolizes winning. That's what I want in my head coach.
I respect that. I respect that. That's. I mean, I wanted to get the Jayhawk on there somewhere, and now I think it's a pander pick because obviously we are
The
Rock Chalk
logic
Sports
is
Talk.
there.
I wanted a Jayhawk on my squad, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to go with my heart instead, and I'm not going to pander to the audience because I have moral integrity. You know, I just wouldn't do that. I personally wouldn't do that because I'm a good person. Now, some people would. They would pander to the audience, and they would try to.
All
get
you do
on
is
their
pander.
side.
All you do is
I
pander.
would never.
Man, the
I have
Sun Devil
integrity.
pick was interesting by you. Also, what is a mountaineer? I mean, all I.
He's just a guy with like a coonskin hat.
Okay. You also could have gone with the Red Raider for your gunslinger. I mean,
Yeah, I like
are
Pistol
there
Pete,
are there
though.
are there actual mascots different? Oklahoma State and
Yeah, no, kind of.
I mean, is
the
it Red Raider?
Red Raider, they got a guy on a horse,
Okay.
I believe.
Okay. And what does the cowboy generally ride?
Horse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, they're the same. They're close to the same. Red Raider, though.
I'm just saying it could have been a
Red Raider,
gunslinger.
that's not a good guy, right? A Red Raider, in theory, that's like a guy who raids things. That is a criminal of the Old West.
Man.
I don't want that kind of guy in my locker room.
Dude, we are getting
Right?
down to brass tacks here. I mean,
We
man,
are.
maybe we should have done Big Ten or ACC or something.
Yeah, we're getting down to the scraping the bottom of the barrel.
I mean, man, in the let's see, the SEC, you've got like you got LSU,
I mean, there's
the Tigers,
we have to pick. So there's two duplicates.
but you couldn't do multiple Tigers. There's 3 Tigers in the SEC, right? Or 4?
So
3. I think just 3.
3. Well, there's
Auburn and Mizzou.
Auburn,
and LSU.
Mizzou. Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, yeah.
LSU.
You know, but the Gators, that would have been. We got to do that.
Yeah, that would've been a good
Another
one.
bye
Yeah,
week
we'll
down
do-
the
we'll do
line.
another
We'll
one.
do this. But because we're getting this is looking rough. I mean, I got one more pick here right now before I got to take an offensive line and a defense. And I know that Dan is still searching for a head coach and a tailback, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Here's what I'm going to do. My offensive line, I'm going to pass, and I'm going to go to my defense. Defensively, give me the horned frog.
Oh man, that was gonna be my running back.
you wanted
Why the horned frog? at
because
defense?
because I'm not going to stop you on offense.
You think a frog is gonna stop me on defense?
No. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to stop you with my horned frog. You're going to score.
Yeah.
But I feel so confident in my offense that
Against a tornado?
Yes.
I am winning this
Yes.
game a million.
give me the horned frog.
This is they're gonna have to stop the game.
All right,
because I'm going to beat you so
why
bad.
you know why I actually chose the Horned Frog defensively.
Please
He's a pest.
try to tell
He's
me.
a pest. He's gonna bite you. I think. Do they bite? I don't know. Maybe they'll bite you and have some sort of poison come out. Maybe that'll help.
I don't
I mean,
know.
if the Horned Frog is able to hop and skip all the way to your quarterback, the adorable little cowboy.
See, I was gonna go with him as my running back just because of the low center of gravity.
Right.
But
That's fair. I've got a bear in my running back.
you got him at defense.
We are
What
getting
position- are you going
this
D-
is getting
Are
bad.
you going D line, linebacker, safety? Where are you going? Just anywhere? Just 11 horned frogs out there trying to
If
stop.
I can have
trying
11,
to
that'd be
stop
great.
Ralphie the buffalo.
If I could have 11, that would be fantastic. Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to
Oh
stop
my
you. Who do you want me to?
goodness.
Who did you want me to take?
There's
Who
more,
did you want me? There's
more
nobody left.
things. All right, hold on. So let's go through it. So Sean, you got
Ah.
the Baylor Bears at your running back. You have
Which is just a great.
Cougar.
I mean, look at my
wide
quarterback,
receiver,
running back,
Knight
wide receiver.
quarterback,
That's tough.
Jayhawk head coach. I have a Cyclone on defense, Buffalo on my offensive line, quarterback. I have a Cowboy, wide receiver. I have a Sun Devil, and my running back position. I mean, there's a few ways I could go with this. I'm gonna do it, but I'm not gonna pick the K-State one. I'm gonna pick the Arizona one. Give me the Wildcat for my running back.
I see. I was thinking Wildcat would go undrafted, honestly, but that's just because
Yeah, I know.
I wear
had to get
crimson and
him at-
blue.
There's no really other.
It's
there's
getting
no really,
bad.
No really
It's getting
other
bad. I'm going to be left
places.
with a bird as my offensive lineman.
Yeah,
So okay, so you went with Wildcat where?
I went with Wildcat at running back. Now I need a head coach, and
This is about to be the biggest load of BS out of your mouth. You're about to say, this is who you select as a head coach and come up with the most ridiculous reason and expect people to believe you. Who are you going with?
so I have a couple of different options.
You have literally
I
4 options remaining.
I think that I'm going to go with my head coach.
The Jayhawk is a great pick by me.
That was a good pick. I mean, I'm going to go with the Red Raiders, right? I mean, I got to go with the Red Raider because of the fact that it's hard for organized crime to continue for this long and be a notable Red Raider and to be a notable criminal and not be in jail it comes down to organization. It comes down to really, having a good grasp on your team and your guys. You have to be a leader of men if you want to be able to do something like that. So that's why I'm going with the Red Raiders as my head coach. Also, because of the fact that it's a human being and they can understand football.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, that
That's
leaves
my-
me with one more on the offensive line. I think I know where I'm going.
They're all birds.
Well, one
left,
is a
right?
mountaineer, which is just a guy.
That's right.
Bearcat, and then Utes, which is a bird, I think.
You could have gone Bear as your offensive line. You should have.
I considered that, but I'd rather have him at running back.
It's insane of you.
I'm fine with. But, I figured it out. Offensive line, my final selection, who I'm going to go with to close out our draft, I'm going with the Longhorn. Give me the Longhorn up front on the offensive line, and that closes my. How are you beating this team? Offensive line, I got the Longhorn up front.
Do this.
Knight, well protected. He comes with his own equipment, as you said. Quarterback, Bear running back.
This isn't
Bear running back. Who's tackling him?
Veto.
Cougar,
you could have vetoed
speed,
I gave you an opportunity.
wide
to veto. You said
receiver.
no, I'm using my opportunity. I'm vetoing the Longhorn.
Horned frog. Horned frog is the pest that's gonna, poison you with bites. Do they poison? Easton, do they poison? Good. Look at that. They poison. So I knew what I was doing the whole time. And then head coach is a Jayhawk because Jayhawks win.
This is unreal.
What a team that is for me.
I'm writing down.
How about the bulk I have up front with the Longhorn on the offensive line and a Bear at running back? That's tough to beat.
That's unbelievable. No,
That is tough to beat.
I'm
your team?
down. I'm writing down Swoop the bird for your offensive line.
No, I went with the Longhorn.
Are you going Mountaineer?
Nothing was said.
Are you Utes?
Nothing was said at the beginning of the segment about how it needed to be current Big 12 teams. Nothing was said. So give me the Longhorn up front, and we're good. I can't believe you didn't select Tigers. Tigers would have been a good pick. That's terrible.
This is unbelievable.
That's terrible.
I'm writing down Mountaineers for you.
No, I'm going Longhorn.
I have a Cyclone on my defense. Already won. My offensive line, Buffaloes. Come on. Cowboy, gunslinger at the quarterback. Sun Devil, wide receiver, running back Wildcat, head coach Red Raider. I mean, dude, come on.
I think you're underestimating the horned frog. I mean, now that I have confirmed in the last 5 minutes that it does poison, I mean, you're done. You're done for.
Well, hey, what's the horned frog's max
And how do
speed?
you expect getting past the longhorn? If you even get past the longhorn, then you have to tackle a bear. That's not going to happen.
So a horned
scoring every time.
frog's max speed is about 5 miles an hour.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Think so?
Is that your max speed too? Man, they are slow.
I'm at least about 7.
They are slow. That is our fantasy draft today of Big 12 mascots selected to field a football team. Hope that you enjoyed it. After this, we're talking Chiefs football. Dan Courtwright is going to give a little bit of an early preview Super Bowl rematch, Chiefs and Eagles. It's 3:25 at Arrowhead on Sunday. Thanks for watching KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
John Kellerman, Dan Courtwright back here, Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com. All right, well, we don't have Jayhawk football this upcoming weekend, Dan, but we do have the Chiefs, which is nice. We are trying to keep our weeks together. This is week 2 of the NFL and week 3 of college football.
Correct.
Even though we've already played 3 college football games. So college football is 1 week ahead. But Chiefs-Eagles is going down. Eagles, they've had some extra time. Chiefs have had some extra days, but still less time than the Eagles. They played, of course, on Thursday night and knocking off the Cowboys 24-20 without Jalen Carter, who got a 1-game suspension. Turns out they retroactively said that it was for the game that he got ejected from. So interesting on that front. He's probably their most important defensive player. But yeah, Chiefs potentially going to be without Xavier Worthy. Need you to update us on that. And then overall get into this 3:25 Sunday at Arrowhead.
Yeah, so as of right now, it looks like Xavier Worthy can return sooner rather than later. He's day-to-day right now. Andy Reid said that in the press conference. That's going to be huge, right? And obviously, you want him to be able to rest up, but also you don't want to start the season 0-2. So you need Xavier Worthy out there because you don't have Rashee Rice, because, Hollywood Brown has been okay, and he's had some flashes, and Juju is fine, but the wide receiver room in general is just not looking good as of right now in terms of the depth there, more specifically with Rashee Rice being suspended, right? So we need Xavier Worthy because right now Xavier Worthy is going to be the number 1 guy. Travis Kelce's obviously getting older. So as of right now, he's day-to-day. He said he's just rehabbing here. Andy Reid said that. So it seems to me as though he could probably play against the Eagles, which is going to be important. But the Eagles, if you watch that game, that Thursday night game against the Cowboys, I saw a lot of holes in their defensive side of the ball. They lost a lot of guys from the Super Bowl team last year. I believe they lost 10 guys from the Super Bowl winning team, which is the most in recent history, at least from what I can remember, losing from a Super Bowl winning team. Their secondary is not that great, right? They have a Dory Jackson who I couldn't believe, A, that he was still in the NFL, and B, that he was a starting corner in the NFL. Dory Jackson was getting smoked by CeeDee Lamb early in the game against the Cowboys. So looking at that matchup with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown on a Dory Jackson makes you confident, right? The Eagles did look good. I will say that. A.J. Brown was not used hardly at all. I think he had 1 reception in that game against the Cowboys. Devontae Smith looked all right. Jalen Hurts obviously had to do it a lot on his legs because the Cowboys were getting a lot of pressure. So I think if the Chiefs can get some pressure but also maintain Jalen Hurts in the pocket, keep him in the pocket, apply the pressure, make him throw on the run, I think that's where Jalen Hurts really has his weak points. So that's going to be a big time concern. But as of right now, Xavier Worthy still day-to-day. We'll see kind of where he's sitting at because that's where the game is going to be won is through the air. And if the Chiefs can get it figured out through the air with Xavier Worthy and with Hollywood Brown, and hopefully they get Travis Kelce in the mix there too.
Well, and I want to talk really briefly on both sides of the ball. Offensively, kind of going off what you're saying, health is a factor. You're not going to have Rice. Who knows what you're going to get out of Worthy? And Kelce had 2 catches, but you look at the game against the Chargers, and Patrick Mahomes had 39 pass attempts and also 6 scrambles. The Chiefs got 5 carries apiece from both Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Talk about the importance of establishing the run. We're talking about that with KU football, but that's going to need to happen to maintain possessions because, and we'll get into this, on the flip side, they've got maybe the best running back in the league in Saquon Barkley, and you know that Hurts is going to get his on the ground as well. They're going to score. So the Chiefs are going to have to be able to score, and it's going to have to not be one-dimensional.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? I mean, they scored a lot against a relatively solid Dallas defense. So you know that they're going to score. You know that they're going to continue to get the ball down the field, and they're going to eat the clock too, while as much as they possibly can with their run game. So the Chiefs, while they're on the field, they have to take advantage of the time that they're out there on the field, and they have to get points on the board, whether that be touchdowns or field goals. They just have to get points on the board in order to. I think this is going to be a game where Mahomes is really going to be playing catch up with Jalen Hurts and company.
Mahomes catch up.
Mahomes catch up.
Mahomes catch up. Yeah. Well, I hope not. I mean, but yeah, you look at the first week of NFL action, and the teams you expected to look good looked really good, and the Eagles were in that conversation. And for the Chiefs, it felt a little choppy, right? And that's kind of how it felt at times last year. The Chiefs somehow went 15-2 in the regular season, but it felt like a lot of asking Mahomes to be Superman and not getting enough. Again, Pacheco, I think, has the ability to be a top 10 running back in this league. Can game script help out? Can the Chiefs find a way to get enough push up front, keep the ball out of the hands of Jalen Hurts? And then defensively, yeah, he's a special talent. It's going to be tricky trying to keep him in the pocket, get pressure on him, that sort of things. But a really good opportunity for everybody up front in particular to establish their dominance on their home field.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the Chiefs, they lost to a quarterback who I think is around the same talent level as Jalen Hurts last week with the Chargers and Justin Herbert, and now they're playing a team with a better supporting cast than Justin Herbert has. So the supporting cast around Patrick Mahomes really needs to be able to step up because, like you said, Mahomes really was trying to play hero ball because he was forced to play hero ball because he wasn't getting any help from neither his offensive line nor his running back situation. So I agree with you. I think Isaiah Pacheco has, I guess, the way to phrase this is he has the ceiling for a top 10 running back in the league. We have not seen that yet out of Isaiah Pacheco. Yes, he dealt with some injuries last year and, it's just some different things here and there, and he just hasn't been able to break one loose, similar to kind of Daniel Highshaw's situation here at Kansas. So I want to see him break one loose just to kind of get that momentum. And also I think Kareem Hunt is still has a lot of juice left in the tank. I think that this is going to be a big year for him, but also you need to show more than you showed week one. Week one was absolutely pathetic in terms of the running back room from the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought that they really needed to step that up because, like I said it 1,000 times about this Kansas Jayhawk offense. I'll say it about the Chiefs. If you can't establish a run game, that makes your offense predictable. And they're not going to be stacking the box. They're going to have a lot more guys in coverage. They're going to be they know that your tendencies to either throw it or run it, you're going to lean towards throwing it because your run game has not been established. So that is a big point of emphasis that the Chiefs need to be able to do. And it's going to be tough against a really good defensive line with Jalen Carter being back. Now, hopefully Jalen Carter spits on Mahomes before the game and gets ejected again. That is in an ideal situation. In an ideal world, that's what happens. But that's probably not going to happen. And we're going to have Jalen Carter out there, and he's a damn good defensive tackle who can fill in those holes.
Got to win special teams as well. That's always important and what's likely going to be a close game. But yeah, you don't want to start 0-2. The Chiefs, since Mahomes took over at quarterback in 2018, have the most home wins in the league with 45 and the best home win percentage at just under 78%. Pretty impressive there from Mahomes and the Chiefs, but a really tall task as the reigning champs come to town Sunday at 3:25. After this, we're talking Thursday Night Football game picks. Thanks for watching on KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City.
This is Daniel Highshaw, and you're watching kansasnation.com.
KansasNation.com. Thanks for listening as well on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. Tomorrow we are going to be back for a 2-hour show. We're going to have our sports stock market as we do. Plus, we'll have all sorts of game picks for the upcoming slate. Dan will give college football game picks. We'll both touch on NFL game picks. And we were talking yesterday about how we are going to, at some point, collect our collective picks and make sure we get a graphic visual on there, because I know that you guys care even more about our game picks than you do Dan's fantasy team. So,
Exactly.
so
And I know you guys care about my fantasy team a
a
lot.
lot, yeah. So we'll make sure we have that and sort of keep track and who can get the bragging rights on that front. But tonight, Thursday night football is back. It's been so long, nearly 72 hours since we had football. But it is the Washington football team against the Green Bay football team
That's right.
at Lambeau Field. So another opportunity for home cooking for the Packers, who look good, Dan, in week 1.
Yeah, the Packers did look good. Micah Parsons had a sack, and seems to be adjusting relatively well there. Their defense does look relatively stout, and also Jordan Love, man, you said it. I think I've had a hard time wrapping my mind around it, just because he sat behind Aaron Rodgers for so long that it was just like, oh, he's a backup. No, he's come into this league and he has been a very good quarterback, and he was able to learn under Aaron Rodgers and take some of the good things about his game and really develop them in his time sitting under him. So I think he just looks so good, considering the fact that he doesn't have a lot to work with. Romeo Dobbs is relatively good. Christian Watson is good, but he doesn't have like a solidified, like a Pro Bowl, All Pro
They have
kind
been
of
looking for a
guy.
while. Dontavian Wicks. I
Yeah.
mean, they've been looking for a guy. Obviously, they're hoping Matthew Golden is that guy.
I think he will be. He was
Uh,
obviously really good at Texas, but
It sure
yeah,
seems like Tucker Kraft's going to be a weapon in that offense too.
yeah, 100%. Tucker Kraft is a very good tight end, but yeah, it's just like it's crazy because Jordan Love is such a good quarterback, and essentially he doesn't have an all-pro style kind of weapon he can really throw to. Tucker Kraft could be that guy, like you were talking about.
Well, and and like we've said, I mean, who knows who's going to emerge. I think eventually it will be Golden, but Jaden Reed obviously is still really good in
Yes.
terms of wide receiver position. He's going to continue on an ascent. But yeah, Packers are given 3.5 in the frozen tundra tonight to the football team. Over under is 48.5. Let's start there, Dan. What do you think? Football team obviously disposed of the Giants in week 1, 21-6.
Yeah, I think this game is going to go over. That's going to be one of my picks, is definitely the over on the 48.5. The public likes the under. I like the over in this game just because of the fact that I think highlighting both of these teams, aside from Micah Parsons, who's new and I don't think is going to have too much of an impact on this game, it's basically the story is Jordan Love versus Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels has a new toy to play with Deebo Samuel, who's not fat anymore, by the way. Used to be fat, but now he's not so fat. He looks okay. I think that's going to be the storyline. I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. So give me the over on the 48.5. I think I like the Commanders to cover here. So does the public very clearly. It's 3.5. It's minus 118. I think I like the Packers to cover, or excuse me, I think I like the Commanders to cover. Give me the Packers to win, though. I think they may maybe win it on a field goal. I think it's a 3-point win by the Packers. I think they squeeze it out. It's obviously going to be at Lambeau, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, in terms of just some player props, Jordan Love has averaging 108 188 yards per game because they've only played one game so far. His over under right now is at right around between 230 and 240. I think he's going to go over that. I think this is a game where he's going to go into the 300s. I'm not a big fan of the Commanders secondary. I think Jordan Love is going to go well over 240. I think that, like I said, I think he goes into the 300s in this one too. So that's another game pick for me. I don't know if I'm going to, you know what? Fine. I'll lock that one in. Give me Jordan Love over 240. It's at plus 103. I like that pick.
Well, I'm looking at the anytime touchdown scores, and I see a lot of value in Terry McLaurin at plus 185. Scary Terry, he's going to be a big contributor this season. You can get Deebo at plus 175, but obviously McLaurin, I think, yeah, there was a little bit of holdout stuff going on, but he's got that camaraderie with Jaden Daniels, so I like that on the plus 185. Josh Jacobs, anytime TD, you're going to have to give up a little bit, minus 200, but I think he gets in as well, so not great odds there. But yeah, a really, really great opportunity. The Commanders, a team that I know you've talked at length, Dan, you expect them to compete for the NFC Championship. Not surprising. Of course, they went and had a lot of really impressive kind of out of nowhere wins last year with a new coach and a rookie quarterback. He's proven to kind of be the truth here. And this could be an important game down the line when you're looking at playoff seedings and that sort of things. And if the Packers start 2-0, even though they're both at home, but you beat the Lions and the Washington football team, that is a huge, huge start to the season for them.
Yeah, I think when you look at this game, right, you could make the case that this is a preview of the NFC Championship game, right? If the Philadelphia Eagles wet the bed, if the Lions are actually the way the Lions looked like in week 1 against the Packers, right? The Packers just absolutely obliterated the Lions. That's not what I thought was going to happen at all. With Micah Parsons continuing to grow on this squad, with Josh Jacobs continuing to be a good running back, and with Jordan Love continuing to be a very stout quarterback, I think that you can make the case very easily that they can make the NFC Championship, as well as the Commanders. You look at Jaden Daniels. He's been awesome. I'm on record saying he's going to be a top 3 vote getter in the NFL. Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, they've got pieces. Dan Quinn is a very good coach. They got Cliff Kingsbury as their OC. I really like this. I think this is an NFC Championship preview game.
Well, Thursday Night Football, it's nice not having it always have to be Jags and Panthers or what we're used to,
Right.
but it should be a really fun one tonight. For Easton John running the production here and Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman saying catch us tomorrow for another episode of Rock Chalk Sports. We'll preview Chiefs Eagles and do sports stock market. Thanks for watching KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City.